This is our new Atlas 40 head, derived from the Atlas 30. It shares actually the same chassis, but we were finding with people with Alexas, a larger Lura lens, codex box on the top, 2 monitors, that this counterbalance was just running away. So we managed to upgrade this, paint it a different colour. We got an extra 8% out of the counterbalance system by a slight redesign. So we're quite pleased with this. Everything that it was launched at IBC and all that we've made so far have been sold, so it's quite good. So I'll run through it from the top as I would show anybody. Slide plates on the top. There are options of 2, one which was a European large style quick release. The slide goes on from the back or the front, forwards or backwards. Locks with a simple lever here. This is the safety to remove it. The other option on the slide is to take an ARRI dovetail slide. Again, nice safety on the back end. You can put this on backwards or forwards, which sometimes is quite useful when you come to take a bridge plate saddle off. You want to take it off the front rather than the back. This head tilts 90 degrees. If I just show you that on the end of the slider here, it's a full 90 degrees forwards and backwards. In fact, now it's a full 90 degrees there, and it will go the same backwards. The pan bars are mounted on rosettes, one on either side. You simply undo the lever, unscrew it. We have a rosette mount in here. Push that back in. Make sure that the teeth are engaged, lock that off. The pan bar itself is telescopic, so that it moves in and out. And also there is a curve in the pan bar, basically, so that you can do all kinds of different things like this without putting the pan bar in the raised position. So it does give you options for clearances. My favourite position seems to be around about here. The fluid system on the tilt here has 7 positions, a 0 at both ends reading off of here. And if you engage the 1 position and tilt very slightly, go in one direction, return in the other, and this goes all the way through to 4, right the way up to 7. When you're in the 7 position, it's a little stiffer to get out into the 0. The design is the same pan and tilt, but normally you would only use it on the pan for a whip pan. So if I go into 0 now, do my whip pan, if I want to come back to 7, I just put it back and they all engage again. Currently, if I set the counterbalance in 0 position, you'll find it just drops down. I happen to know that with this camera plate here, that this stays, and this head is in a perfectly free mode in pan and tilt at the moment. So wherever I leave that, it stays. There's no forcing springs at either end. So that happens to be a good balance. The counterbalance on this side goes from 0 to 100 off of this dial just by turning this knob. This is the operating lever, and this is the dial. At the moment it's reading 0. And if I take the brake off of this, the head will fall freely. So you don't have to have a counterbalance on. To adjust the counterbalance, the head needs to be horizontal. Not that it won't, but it will become very stiff. And then you just adjust this knob in here, all the way up to 100%, whatever it is you've got on it. And I know specifically this particular part will balance at 25%. On this side, you have both of your brakes. Your tilt brake pulls back, pan brake pulls back. That's reasonably well locked. Also on this side we have an eyepiece leveling bracket, which is adjustable on a rosette, and this telescopes in and out and again locks. And on both sides at either end you have an M5 and a 1/4 thread, so any eyepiece levelers will work on that system. The other part that you need to know here is this knob adjusts it so that it can come in and out, which basically keeps the eyepiece leveling rod vertical. So you can push it out, lock it, push it back in, lock it. So fits just about any eyepiece leveling device that's on the market. I don't know whether you can see this, but the spirit level is in this side. This thing that looks like a peak to a baseball cap on either side is to protect the head when you lay it on its side. So you're doing any service or you're putting it down at some stage, it sits on this handle and the top of this peak, and on this handle and this peak. So if we take the head off and lay it down, it sits on this surface and it doesn't affect the brakes or the eyepiece leveler on this side, and on the opposite side it doesn't affect the counterbalance. It comes with a permanent 150mm ball, and on the bottom here we have a Mitchell adapter ring, which is to the normal standard of Mitchell. And this ring is held on by 6 screws. Now, if you were in a desperate rush to go from a bowl to a Mitchell fitting, you could drop it on because it has the central location, and this knob will do it up tight enough without you having to change anything else. So as you can see, the lifting handle's very good to lift the head and the camera from dolly to tripod, vice versa, whichever direction you need to go in. We're very proud of this head. Most of this is machined from solid aluminium, 6082 grade mainly. Internal brake bands are made of stainless steel, 303 grade. The splines on the brake adjusters here are also stainless steel, as are the fittings inside and the pan brake, and both the pan and tilt brake bands are all stainless steel. Our environmental seals on here are on either side of the control for the fluid and on either side of the central drum. This has got an O-ring seal on it, and in the base there's an environmental seal above and below the actuating cam there. And I think that just about covers everything on there. This obviously has the patent numbers and everything on it regarding the counterbalance. It was designed originally for Sony and Panasonic cameras like the Vericam, etc. 7 or 8 years ago, and obviously now the cameras that fit it are the Alexa, the Red Epic, the Sony F55, that type of camera, which starts as a fairly small box and gets built and built and built and built, and it's supposed to balance 30 kilos, but that of course depends on the height that you put on it. But we certainly know that an Alexa with a codex box, the largest Allura, 2 monitors, T-machine, whatever else they put on top of it, it now handles that in this package, which is quite good, because prior to that you would have been using a head that's like 12 or 14 kilos. Cameramen come to us. We have a good rapport with Ari, certainly in London and here in Munich. And we basically make equipment to their needs. If they tell me it needs to tilt 90 degrees, then we'll tilt it 90 degrees. If they want a quick release plate in the top, or an Ari dovetail plate in the top, then this seems to be popularised by Red and other manufacturers as well, using the same kind of bridge plate saddle onto that. We also make for this, for really long lenses, a 600mm long version of this, so that we can get the camera right at the back and support the lens. Something like an Ingenue 24-290 will go on the longer plate, and this dovetail is common amongst our Atlas heads on the outside.